I'm having a pretty, I think I'm a bit low down here, having a pretty eventful day today. I wasn't going to blog, but vlog, or whatever you want to call it. And my camera's in completely the wrong position, so you're probably seeing all the lights and shades in the wrong places. Anyway, I don't know if I mentioned or not, but when I had my operation on my right knee replacement, it took the wound a long time to heal because I got serous fluid flowing. Eventually, after district nurses kept coming, it healed over. But last week I was shaving my legs, don't know why, because nobody looks at my legs, but I decided to shave my legs. And I shaved a tiny little portion of the scar, by accident of course. And now it won't stop running, so I've been going backwards and forwards to the walk-in centre, and they're referring me to the wound specialist because apparently they think I've got lymphedema, which means I've got, I mean, my legs are just like massive tree trunks. And I know I'm a fat girl, but this is ridiculous because they're so big. And it's like the skin's splitting because they're spreading so wide. So, anyway, I came out of there, my new scooter, went into Iceland, that's one of a frozen food shop if you're not familiar with it. Got my stuff in, comes to get off the scooter while I packed some things into the backpack on the back of the scooter. Forgot to turn the scooter off. I must have caught the accelerator switch and it set off without me. Well, I was nearly off the scooter. It set off. Of course, with nobody being sitting on it, it was very lightweight, so the speed was like doubled. So it shot off, sort of threw me off sideways. I finished up, I banged my head on the wall, and I was like flat on my back. Banged all my elbow, banged me back of my shoulder and back. I managed to bang this elbow as well, but I don't know how I did that because I landed like that way. So how the heck I banged it? Unless I banged it on something else as I was going down. So anyway, they're all going, lie there, don't get up, do you want an ambulance? And I feel such a twit because there's like loads of people in the shop. And everybody's rushing round me saying, are you okay, are you okay? She needs an ambulance because she's banged her head. And I'm going, no, I'm all right. All I wanted to do was just get up off the floor and go, you know, because I felt such an idiot. Anyway, I've got the feeling that I will pay for all of this tomorrow because I can feel myself stiffening up. Anyway, this isn't the point of me making a video. I didn't make a video just to tell you how stupid I am. People have asked me before about my shawls. I don't own any copyrights, any whatever, to granny squares. Nobody does. So it isn't my pattern, it's just a granny square shawl. But what it is you start off, I don't know whether you can see or not, you start off with one square there. But instead of being like sort of that way, which you would do a granny square, you turn it on its side to make it like a diamond shape. And then the next row has, you make two. I don't know if you can see or not, I slightly alter the colours in the pattern. So there's one there, and then the next row is two. And the next row is 3, 1, 2, 3, and so on as you go up. And of course when you get to the top you've got a funny shape, so you have to do half granny squares, you know, to do the top. And I linked mine together with crochet, but instead of stitching it, but instead of making a solid line, I don't know whether you can see or not, I do a double crochet, single crochet for in America, 3 chains, single crochet, 3 chains, so that I get a lacy effect instead of a solid effect, yeah. And then I will go all the way around the edge with granny stitch, you know, all the way around it, and then I'd fringe the fringe. So this has been, it smells of sun oil because even though it's washed many times, it's alright, I'm just waving to my neighbour. Even though it's been washed many times, it smells of sun oil because it has actually got a hole in it I need to mend. It's been everywhere with me. It's been in nearly every country I've ever visited. In fact, I think it's been in every country I've ever visited. Because I made this about 30 years ago. It just shows how good things are when you make them yourself. They last forever. Anyway, I also made another one which seems to be everybody's favourite when I wear it. Same principle, but I used a chunky yarn with this one, and I used very subtle colours. So perhaps you can see the method a bit better with this one. As you can see, it starts off with 1, then it goes to 2, then it goes to 3, and they are slightly different in the fact that some of them have got blue around the edge and some of them have got greeny mingled around the edge. Again, finished off with the half squares. You can find half granny squares, you can find granny squares. You don't even have to do this kind of square. As long as you're making a square, doesn't matter what size it is, doesn't matter what it is. It's the same principle. You just keep building them up in rows until you get as big as you need to be. And so this one is a much chunkier shawl, but the same applies, the same way I made it, crochet them together. I don't like crocheting them together in a solid line because I think it's too thick and it makes too big of a ridge. You do get a ridge effect with doing it this way, but it's not quite as noticeable as it is if you're going in every stitch across. And as for sewing them together, forget it. I do not sew unless I have to. So I didn't sew them, I didn't crochet them together individually. I spread them all out on the table in the pattern that they were going, and then I sort of went all across one row like that, all across another row like that, and then when I'd done I went all across the rows that way and that way. You know, so I was going across the whole length of them instead of doing them one at once when you've still got loads and loads of ends to sew in. That is the only problem with these, is ends. And when you've had them a few years, the ends start to poke out. No matter how good you are at stitching them in, ends poke out. But I suppose that's part of its rustic charm, isn't it? Yeah. And this other one is the granny stitch, but it's not done in squares. It's done all in one. You start off with the granny, well, the half granny square, and then you just go out, 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 out. This is actually a pattern that is on drops, and I think actually there is a pattern for a very similar shawl to the one I made 30 years ago. It can't be a drops pattern because drops was not around 30 years ago when I made mine, but there is a very similar pattern on drops, I think, with granny squares, showing you how I did mine. So there's no such thing as people making things up. I can't lay claim to it because it must have been a seed or a germ in people's heads ever since granny squares have been around. Who made the first granny square? Don't know. This is why it annoys me when people say, do not copy my pattern, do not do this, and I'm thinking, oh, hang on a minute, I was making granny squares way, way back when. How can you say that it's your pattern when it's a granny square? Yeah, the actual design inside the granny square might be yours, you know, you might have designed it, but odds on, no, you didn't design it, odds on it's been around for donkey's years. But you can get pattern books with just all different kinds of granny squares. These are just the regular bog standard, what I call an ordinary granny square. If you want to make your shawl somewhat differently, you can pick one that's got a circle in the centre that goes into a square afterwards, you know. You can pick any kind of centre piece to use your grannies. So that's it really, basically. So I've got me cup of coffee. Apologies to anybody who's offended, but it does say bugger off, I'm crocheting. And it's got a little crochet hook and a ball of wool on the other side. And because I'm in shock, I'm having my Mars bar. And I've now got to elevate my legs because of the lymph fluid. So that's a good excuse, isn't it, not to do housework and to just sit and do some crochet. So that is my Sunday, so I hope you're enjoying your Sunday a bit better than mine, and I've got a feeling that my Monday is going to be very stiff, very sore and full of bruises. But hey, oh, I'm still alive. And if I did bang my head, I don't remember banging my head. They said I banged my head on the wall. No sense, no feeling. Didn't notice it, so might have knocked a bit of sense in. It didn't knock anything out because there's nothing left to knock out of it. Anyway, bye for now.